Hello, ladies and gents. Jack Dragonfly back once again after another exciting journey. And this time, I went farther than I ever have been before. So let's raise anchor as we set sail to the distant coast of America's largest state, Alaska. Now our journey begins not in Alaska itself, but in the bustling city of Seattle, Washington. And boy, if I thought the Atlanta airport was crowded, I hadn't seen anything yet. Sadly, I didn't have much time to explore the airport, for I had to make my way down to the seaport and board a luxury cruise liner. It honestly was my first time on board a cruise ship, and it was a good first impression, although the cabin wasn't much to look at. Give me a break, I'm traveling on a budget here. These ships are essentially floating cities, with enough cabin space for thousands of guests, as well as dozens of restaurants, shops, and even a full-blown casino. I tried my luck a handful of times, and although I never scored big, I did manage to double my money on one occasion. The top deck was also full of activities, including a go-kart track and an impressive pool, with hot tubs and water slides. However, I personally spent the majority of my time in the video arcade, like the true geek that I am. The games were fun, although I will admit the selection was pretty limited. But the real showstopper was the food. I mean, look at the size of this buffet. Eat your heart out, Golden Corral. Burgers, pizza, french fries, salads, toast, pasta, ice cream, plus all kinds of foreign foods I didn't get the chance to try, from places like France and India. Bonjour and namaste. Not to mention it wasn't like a buffet back home. As long as it was serving hours, you were free to just walk in and grab a bite. They didn't care if you filled a whole plate full of bacon and eggs and just walked to your cabin with it. And it wasn't alone either. There was a diner with some good burgers and milkshakes, a sports pub with a decent menu, and all kinds of ball games on the big TVs. And also this big fancy restaurant, where I dined on a most scrumptious surf and turf platter, featuring a well-done filet mignon and a very pretty lobster tail, all served with breadsticks, salad, and potatoes. The only downside is that I felt rather underdressed. But enough about the ship itself. What about our destinations? Stop number 1 was Sitka, Alaska, where we retreated to a rare sight, the salmon in the midst of spawning. Every year around this time, salmon make the long journey from the sea to the freshwater streams they were born in to lay their eggs, usually dying shortly afterward. It was pretty interesting, but good gravy did it smell. And of course, where there were fish, there were predators. And I got to visit the Fortress of the Bear, home to the largest carnivorous mammals in North America. Though, despite what you might think, these are ABC Island brown bears, and not grizzly bears, which are another subspecies of the brown bear. And there was also the Alaska Raptor Center, where they take in all kinds of birds of prey. Hawks, eagles, owls, you name it. The next stop was Juneau, the capital of Alaska, founded all the way back in 1881, where I got to take a ride up to the top of this mountain and just look at this gorgeous view. You can even see our ship down there. I also got to explore downtown, although my one complaint was the jewelry stores. I mean, holy gold standard, Batman. Every single store was a jewelry store. And that got especially annoying especially when I spent a good 45 minutes just looking for something to drink. And this right here is the magnificent Dawes Glacier, a 15-mile-long wall of ice located at the end of the Endicott Arm Fjord, within the Tongass National Forest. Although my personal favourite was when we stopped at Icy Strait Point, where I got to take another cable car and also explore the Hoona Packing Company, a fishing cannery from the 1930s that has since been converted into a museum. But the real highlight was taking a boat out into the bay to get a glimpse of some sea lions, sea otters, and some of the ocean's biggest residents, humpback whales. We got lucky, as several of these majestic creatures showed up to play, although the majority of them were simply napping on the ocean's surface, though at least one decided to jump around and give us a few playful waves. Other sports like catch-a-can were nice too. I got to see the skull of a legendary bear named Old Grona, and the more infamous, Happy Bears. I wonder how they got that name. And I managed to pick up this cute little dinosaur book that I honestly was pretty surprised to find. Victoria was to be our final stop, which is not actually in Alaska, but Canada. It was a nightly excursion there, but I got to enjoy a nice time out on the town. And by the next morning, the ship had returned to port, and I was on my way back home. So all in all, a pretty good first experience on board a cruise ship, something I will definitely be doing sometime again in the future. And also, sorry I haven't been uploading as often as I should. But please, don't forget to like, favourite, subscribe, and all that good stuff for more content from the Venture World channel. But as for now, I'm Jack Dragonfly, and I hope to see you all again next time.